Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. I'm your host, Roman, and we have a terrific show planned for you today. First, the forecast from our IntellectualRadio.com weather center today. Mostly sunny, warmer with increasing clouds, high 65 degrees. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a shower, low 50 degrees. Tomorrow, a passing shower in the morning, otherwise considerable cloudiness, high 56 degrees. I know Rhea doesn't like that. Tomorrow night, clear, low of 45 degrees. The rest of the forecast looks like this. Wednesday, mostly sunny and cool, high 60 degrees. Thursday, sunny, high 63 degrees. And on Friday, partly cloudy, high 64 degrees. The Drive at 5 is also part of the Monday Night Mogul with Straight No Chaser with Rhea Ray Harris at 6 p.m. Maze Says with Maze Jackson at 8 p.m. And Keeping It Real Estate with Harold Donald at 3 p.m. One Sister to Another with Angela Johnson now has a new date and time on Sundays at 10 a.m. And Monday Night Mingle Radio is back on Monday nights at 7 p.m. The Drive at 5 is also part of the fabulous 5 at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station. Today, my guest is to my left, award-winning author of her latest book called Yours and Mine's, author C. Lynn Williams, and adding to the perspective of love and family, author of Laterio's Love Notes. Please give a Drive at 5. Welcome to Laterio Jointer. Welcome to the Drive.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's good to be here.
Starting with you, Miss Williams, please give IntellectualRadio.com/iHeart radio station your background.
My background is MBA in finance, worked in corporate America, and went through a divorce. And that's when I started realizing that some of the ways to parent our kids could be a lot smoother and more hands-on. And so I started by writing a book called Trying to Stay Sane While Raising Your Teen, and progressed from there to The Pampered Prince, Moms Create a Great Relationship with Your Son, on to a mother-daughter relationship book called Raising Your Daughter Through the Joys, Tears, and Hormones, and culminated with my most recent book, which is Yours and Mine, A Winning Blended Family Formula. And ideally, my plan is to change the relationships between parents and their kids, one family at a time.
Terry?
Well, this book, or my background, stems from different relationships, close friends of mine that are or were in relationships, failed relationships, or what were perceived as failed relationships. And it came from that motivation. It's consisted of 52 love notes. Each love note is to be read one love note per week, with a journaling section for your personal experiences in love.
So, going by your friend's experience, you're saying, okay, this some good stuff. I ought to put this in a book.
Right. Well, it was more so to motivate them, because a lot of them had felt they had reached their ends in regards to love, and they wanted to give up on love, and they felt as if the bad boys were the ones that were getting ahead in the game of love. So they wanted to convert and no longer be upstanding gentlemen in regards to love, and they wanted to go the bad boy route. And so this book was kind of written out of that, or for motivation, or to help them stay on the right path.
So, Miss Williams, your book as well, what inspired you to write these kind of books? You said you went through a divorce.
I did. I went through a divorce, and I moved my children from the suburbs to Chicago. And it was quite an experience. Experience meaning that some of my daughter's friends, they didn't have, rules, guidelines, curfew. And I didn't understand that, because I grew up old school. You had to be home when the lights came on. I don't know anybody else in the audience that understands that. If I said you had to do something, that's what you did. So there wasn't a lot of room for negotiation. I did talk, I gave an outlet like that, but a lot of the friends would be at the house until I said, go home. And I thought, that's odd.
Wait a minute. You just say, "Hey, time to go. Go home."
Pretty much. Pretty much. My daughter said, "Mom, you're so mean." I said, "No, I'm not really mean. I mean, like, it's 9 o'clock. Like, don't your parents, aren't they looking for you to be at home? And if not, let me help you." I became the mother in her community of friends, and that was a great place to be. But it took us a little while to get there because they didn't understand the kind of parent I was. I care about you, so why are you out and it's 20 below zero and you have no coat? What's going on? So I faced all kinds of things with some of her friends, and I said, you know what? Maybe I could talk about this in a small book that would be easy to read with some tips, and that's what started my whole journey. And it evolved from there. I started teaching high school for the second book. I was teaching high school boys, and things were pretty cool with the boys, but their moms were so amazing. If the boys did something, instead of saying, "I'll deal with him at home," or his dad and I, or they said, "You can't, my son would never do that." Seriously? Like, why would you take that route as opposed to I'm watching them every day and working with them? So it was just a way to put some information out there, not trying to tell you how to raise your child, but if you follow these tips, I guarantee you'll have a different relationship. And those that have said, yes, it's true.
Now, in your book, and I include you with this question: a divorce to a married man, children dealing with divorce, married with children. How do you guys compromise? How does it kind of like mess with the psyche of a child? And also the relationship when you're saying that is it, that's all.
It messes with completely.
Mhm.
It's a tremendous mess with. Let me just put it like this. So my mom and dad divorced, and my brother immediately started on his path to destruction, whether it was getting in trouble and getting the police called, whether it was taking pills because he didn't want to be here. That was just in my nuclear family. My own family network, with my children, wasn't as dramatic, but the kids act out. They feel like it's their fault.
True.
What would you say?
I would definitely agree. There actually has been plenty of studies that have been done with the absence of a father being in the household, because it's kind of like he's there as the head of the household in most cases, depending on how your religious beliefs are. But the protector, the provider, the teacher, teaching that young man how to be a father himself one day, being the first example for the young girl that's there in terms of what love is, examples of how that man is loving that young lady's mother, and the mother being receptive of the love that is being shown towards her by the father. So it's a huge, tremendous loss whenever a father is not around with the family. So
Now that brings us back to relationships. Now, I know for a fact finding love or dating is hard. Now, older ring to find out what each person means. What's the meaning? However, women say the number one thing they want in a relationship is trust. However, they don't date men that is trustworthy. However, blame the next guy for their shortcomings of not being honest. Why?
You're not ready for my answer. I'll let him speak.
Already?
that's
It's
funny.
still early.
Well, I mean,
not
my response immediately would be, well, I wouldn't agree with you on that relationships are hard. They're not. They're quite easy.
How?
I'm going to get to that. What's hard is you letting go of your own beliefs, your own personal experiences, your own baggage. That's what makes relationships hard. Or you not being at a point where you can see this person is not good for you, but yet you continue on with the relationship because everyone has already showed you who they are. And when they show you who they are, you should believe them. But in most cases, we believe them, but we're stubborn. We feel that we can change and we can make them better, or we are the exception. And it's just, that's who they are. And this is who you are. And you have to say, if we can coincide and be together. And that's what makes relationships hard, when you continue to move forward with a person that is not compatible with you.
But you know what? I think the other side of that, Roman, is that you talked about the baggage. You bring, how your dad treated you, or maybe there was no dad, so you don't know how a man should treat you. So you automatically, unconsciously take that into the relationship. And then my personal thought is, let's have some time to date. Let's get to know each other before we get intimate. And a lot of times people don't do that. And so now you've gotten all of your feelings and emotions charged up. You think you love them, you don't even like them, but you've already gone to bed with them. And so the relationship hasn't had a chance to get off the ground. I think that the waiting period, you should have a waiting period, whatever that is, so that you can get to know, do I like him? Do I like you, Roman? Am I compatible with you? And then if you have kids, and it complicates it more, does he get along with my children? Do they get along with him? Get all of that situated, and then the romance has a chance to grow.
They talk about this 6-month timeline, or the Steve Harvey 90 days lock it up type of routine. Do you think that's a good assessment, a 6 months to get to know a person, or 90 days to lock it up?
I think it definitely varies on the individual, because there's some jobs that give you health care on the very first day when you start. And then there's other jobs you have to wait 90 days. It all depends on the individual and where you are at psychologically. And if you can handle that emotionally, because there are some individuals that are out there that are 50 years old and cannot handle an intimate relationship without getting all crazy in the head. And then there's some that are 25 years old and they can handle it as smooth as possible. So it varies.
You agree?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, finally, we got an agreement here. Single women say they don't play games in a relationship. However, they play games in a relationship. Why?
For a number of reasons. One of the reasons is the insecurity of who you are. I think it's important for you to know who you are as a person. What makes you tick. You need to know all of that first. What is it about me that makes me get up in the morning, that I like when somebody gives me a hug? Maybe I grew up and I didn't get hugs, so I don't know what it's like to be nurtured or loved. I mean, there's so many things that you bring in when you're growing up, things you've been taught consciously or unconsciously. So when we say we're not playing games, what we really mean is right now at this particular moment, I'm not playing a game with you. I want you to be straight with me, but please don't be too straight with me. Don't hurt my feelings. I mean, there's all of that is wrapped into, I don't play games.
I'm so dumbfounded right now.
Let me say this, but maybe this will add some type of clarification to where you're at. Everyone plays games. And I know it sounds like a negative connotation, playing games, but it's really not. If you were in southern states, you would do a sports, fishing, a gaming would be different if you were in the northern state, but there's still games to be played. And again, the basis of those games that are being played, it's really also your surroundings. It has to do with the individuals that you're surrounded by. And believe it or not, their insecurities rub off on you, because these are the individuals that you're getting your advice from. So that's the game of it all, is really trying to juggle the advice that you're getting from your friends, this new relationship that you're in, which is a different place, and who you are as a person, because you're not always where you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 months ago. Everyone's growing. And as you grow, you're in a different place. So your last relationship, you probably, hopefully, You've grown since your last relationship, but you still have those same nucleus of friends around you. So here you are in a different place, and this person is coming to you this way when you've never been approached in a relationship in this particular way. So you're really not playing a game. You're just trying to adjust and adapt to your environment and what you're in.
I agree with you. I think the other thing that you're doing is you're trying to impress. You want to put your best foot forward. I won't say you're trying to impress, but you want to put your best foot forward. And so, I really like him to like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to show that I now don't manage my money, or that what else would be considered a negative.
I don't wear makeup 24 hours a day.
I don't wear makeup. I don't look like this all the time.
Right.
And so when the aura of the love starts to become more familiar, and you start looking like the person that you really are all the time, and that person is no longer, what happened to all of the romance, and I thought you wore heels 24/7. That's when then it's a game.
I call it my movie effect. I feel like in a relationship, you start out, you go to dinner and a movie. You can only see so many dinners, have so many dinners, and you can only go and see so many movies before you eventually have to dive in to whatever it is that is there, the real issues. How are we going to do the discipline in the family? How are we going to manage our money? Or should I move in with you? Should you move in with me? Should we both get rid of our place and buy a place together? There's a ton of different things that you should be working out during your dating period and talking about, and not just saying, hey, I'm so caught up and he's taking me out, and I have a man on my shoulder, or I have a woman on my shoulder. You should actually be spending that time to find out how they were raised. Was your mom and dad together? How long did they stay together? What was the reasons for their divorce? Did your mom cheat on your dad? Did your dad cheat? Those things are very important.
So in essence, do a background check.
You have to. Yeah, you have to, because those things form your opinions on what love is in a relationship.
Majority of singles don't like to be judged by men. However, they judge the man. Why are black men and women are judging each other when it comes to relationship?
I wouldn't just say black men and women. I think men and women judge each other, period.
Why?
I think it's the nature. It's just kind of what you do. Gosh, that's an amazing question. But I guess real simply,
I think like when you're hungry, have you ever gone down the street and you're just hungry? You're hungry, but you don't know what you're actually hungry for, right? So you may 9 times out of 10 stop at a McDonald's or something like that because their marketing, unbeknownst to you, is more appealing. So we normally go with what's more appealing. You normally eat what's appealing to your eye. So that's why we're judgmental, and that's why a woman is looking at a man's shoes and a man is looking at a woman's shoes or purse.
They're not looking at the shoes.
Yes, you are.
No, they're not.
I said a man. I didn't say a boy.
No,
I said a man. There's a difference.
Okay.
See, a real man is looking at that woman's shoes and her purse because he's saying to himself, can I afford to keep up with her?
That's a good question.
A boy is not paying attention. He's just looking at the physical aspect of this woman, because that's the only thing he wants to do is have sex with her. So a man is saying, I don't want just her body. I want her mentally. I want her her in her totality. That's what a man is doing. And so that's the difference. And that's why we're looking at each other, because it's your way of putting people into categories. When you go look at a house, you say, okay, you can automatically, sometimes you won't even go and look at this particular area because those homes look like you can't afford them.
I think, to piggyback on what you said, the other thing too that happens is that you've had so many experiences where the packaging looked fantastic. The content behind wasn't there. And so you're a lot more critical, not critical in a bad way, but just you judge differently. You say, okay, I know the shoes look good. I know the haircut is on point, but what's behind that? How does he speak? How does he carry himself? How does he treat women? How does he treat his mom? And so you're assessing all of that in looking at this person that you are possibly interested in.
Black women say they are tired of Black men's BS, and Black men say they are tired of Black women BS. Both are tired of each other's mess. Why? Silence again.
Well, when you say mess, I can't really say anyone's walking around saying is tired of each other's mess. I think the Black woman is the most unprotected woman in any nationality. So I think she has a right to complain and maybe say, I want more Black men to stand up and be heads of households. However, at the same time, because we're not capable of being racist, because most Black men, we don't own anything, only a small percentage of us make it in terms of corporate America. So we have to go out and have more entrepreneurs, more opportunities in that way, so we can be heads of these households, so that we won't bring the mess, because we're not protecting them, and we're really at fault for that, because there's wealth within our own communities that we can build that will allow us to allow more of our women, and I say our women as African American women, to stay at home, and to, if they choose to stay at home, or to help jumpstart their businesses if they want to jumpstart their business. But we don't have the opportunities because we forgot who we are in terms of being kings, in terms of being providers. We can't just lay on the side and let the woman go out and make all the money, and let the woman go to corporate America and get beat up on. She has to have covering.
And I think the other thing too is, by having had generations of women in households raising their kids, there's some things that you just decide, I'm not going to tolerate. And when you make that kind of decision, I'm not going to tolerate, somebody that's cheating, somebody that's married, right? I'm dating somebody. I'm the side chick. Some of those things you've decided, I'm just not going to tolerate. So what you have sometimes is a standoff. I'm not going to tolerate this from you. And then you've got, on the other hand, a Black man saying, I can go and date anybody else and they won't give me this kind of issue. And that's where I think the standoff occurs, as opposed to two groups getting together and saying, you know what, if we don't protect ourselves, our family unit, and we, marry each other and, propagate that, then we're not going to have a good race.
Or an example for them. I mean, you got to think, the kids are always watching. An example, do you think I have a son I'm raising, he's 12 years old. I think you should be with, first and foremost, whoever makes you happy. Mm-hmm. But if my son only saw me bring other women of other ethnic groups to my home, or date women of other ethnicities, then what do you think the message I'm gonna send to him? That Black women are not worthy of love. He should just play around with them. So you have to be careful in the message that you're sending to the children.
So it goes to my question. I have a two-part question.
Sure.
So I'm just going to lay it on you. In today's society, why Black families don't teach Black love, to respect your fellow Black sister, and sisters respect the fellow Black man? Why? And my other question is, some Black men are saying, why consider hard on the Black man than in any other race?
I'm going to answer the first part of that. So if I understood you correctly, the thing, and this is why I wrote Raising Your Daughter, you have generations where, initially we started off close family unit. You had generations you had grandmother, great grandparents, you had everything together to help the family. You had the village. Nowadays, you have a single parent. Grandparents may no longer be alive, or maybe they're young enough that they're still out hanging out. And so you don't have that example to sacrifice for your family. So You've got a young girl growing up. She doesn't know what it's like to nurture because her mom's not doing that.
That's true.
And so she grows up, she's got kids, and it just becomes a perpetuating situation. I don't know I haven't nurtured my daughter. She has children she doesn't nurture. So we grow up harsh. We don't love, outwardly. And as a result, we fall in love with, but we don't necessarily know how to deliver that love.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
So that explains both of the questions. So is Black love hard?
No.
Why?
It's not hard if you have been taught. Like what Roman's saying, if you have an example.
Lotario.
Oh,
That's okay.
You're Roman.
All this time.
I'm so sorry. But what he's talking about, the kind of way that he's raising his children with love and respect and in setting example is what will be something that his kids will remember. And like you said, what you see is what you do. So when we tell our kids, I don't want you to do this, whatever that is, they watch us. So I don't want you to do this, child, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do drugs. I'm going to drink excessively. I'm going to cheat on my spouse. All of those things our kids pick up. The silent things that we don't ever say out loud, but they watch us. So if you instead have dinner together, if you instead take time with your daughter, take time with your son, and talk to them and teach them not only history of us as a race of people, but also how it is to, when you're out, and this is what we grew up with, you always take care of your brother and sister. Like there was no way I could come home and have done something where they were at risk. If that happened, I knew what that meant. It was a beat down. So you take care of your brother and sister, you show them love out in the street and at home. And that's what you and the parents do that as well.
I agree.
So finally, tell me on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station where they can get your books.
So my books, Raising Your Daughter Through the Joys, Tears, and Hormones, Yours and Mine, A Winning Blended Family Formula, are available on Amazon.com as well as www.clinwilliams.com.
And you can find Lotario Love Notes on Amazon.com as well as Lulu.com.
See, it wasn't that bad, right? See, you want to come back on, right?
I will.
Okay.
What was the loop I was going to be thrown for?
That was the loop. When we come back on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station, got you in the mood for love. Well, what about that wine? We have the wine connoisseurs in the house. .com/iHeartRadio station. And we're back on the intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station to Drive at 5. I hope your wine taste buds are ready today. My guest is the owner of Shall We Wine, Regine Russo. Russo, right?
Russo.
Oh,
you had it
Russo.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And owner of Urban Connoisseur and wine expert on African Americans in the business, Marcy Jones. Welcome to the Drive, ladies.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Please give intellectualradio.com/iHeart radio station your background.
Go ahead, Marcy. Oh, I can start.
Oh, I'll start.
Okay.
Are you already got some of this in you?
I
I'm
want
just
some.
joking.
After the last conversation, I'm ready for some wine. So you let me know when I can start pouring.
Okay.
So I am the owner of Urban Connoisseurs, which is an added value service that I provide Black-owned wineries across the United States, and there are also some internationally, and I'm working on building that relationship as well. And I've been in the business a little over 2 years, or almost 2 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how's that going so far?
It's going quite well. I actually introduced them through opportunities like this, and also educational tastings, events, and I actually have a wine club. So I actually promote these vintners through my wine club, where members receive 4 different bottles from 4 different wineries every quarter. So you have an opportunity to receive new every quarter.
And all of them are African American owned and operated, right?
All of them are African American owned and operated, and these that we have here are just a few of them. There are currently over 60 Black-owned wineries worldwide.
68.
Most
60.
Yeah, most people don't know that.
Yeah. Go ahead. Your background.
So I'm the owner of Shall We Wine. We are a wine and spirit marketing and event planning company. So what we do is we work with distributors, suppliers, wineries, and we provide in-store demos for our clients. So when you're at Binny's or Whole Foods, you might see one of my people there sampling wine. We also do monthly wine events, and the goal of these events is to introduce the public to different wineries, different foods. Like we have one on Friday at the Wild Hare. It's called Wine and Wine.
Do that one more time.
Because I want people to understand that wine is not about being serious all the time. You can enjoy wine in different environments. You can enjoy wine with Caribbean food, with all types of food.
So what inspired you guys to get into the wine business? It's hard. You would never expect African Americans to venture out into this business.
I'm going to why would you say that? Why wouldn't you expect African Americans to be in the wine business?
Well, the way it's advertised, that it's always white owned.
Yeah.
Whites own array of wineries that's out there. You don't picture African Americans drinking, socializing with wine. You say...
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And I'm glad you're giving us this opportunity, because that is not the case. There are a lot of African American wine lovers. So your initial question is, why did we do this? For me, I just fell in love with the lifestyle of wine. Like, I remember the first time I had a bottle of wine that completely changed my perception, that completely opened me wide. And as soon as I tasted it, I was done. I knew I had to explore wine. I knew I had to explore this, the lifestyle of wine. So I don't think it's a Black thing. I think it's about, do you connect with what wine has to offer? And what wine has to offer is different experiences. It offers exposure. It offers exposure to culture. So any person who's interested in that is going to be interested in wine.
Oh, she answered that actually very well. And you know what? Mine is somewhat similar. I got into the business because I was exposed to wine, great wine. And I think I took my twist a little differently because I felt like somewhat what you said earlier, Roman, that the media, and let's just put it out there, advertises not us. When you look at it, when you're looking at magazines, you don't normally see us on the cover. When you hear about a winery, you don't normally see our picture on the cover of a vineyard. And when I first got into this and got exposed to just amazing wines, my thought was, wow, this is amazing wine. I know there has to be some of us doing something like this as well, because I just felt like we do too. Or why not us? And I began to do the research. And the more I dug deeper and deeper, I discovered another vineyard. And every time I thought, wow, this is it. This is all we have. This is it. I would talk with someone. They said, well, do you know about so-and-so? And I go, no, I don't. They go, oh, yeah, they're making great wine too. You need to check them out. Mm-hmm. Here's their information. And so I called them up, and that list that database that I actually have has just grown and grown, because we're in the business and we're doing it in so many different variety of ways, not just owning a vineyard, maybe just a winery, maybe we're sourcing our grapes and having someone else make it, or maybe we have a private label, but we are in there. Now, when you put it into the perspective of percentage-wise, there's 11,000 wineries worldwide. And I just gave you the number of 60 known to me of Black-owned wineries. That's less than 1%. But that's still more than what we had 10 years ago, 15 years ago. So we're growing and we're getting in there.
In 2002, there is a not-for-profit organization for wineries called Vintners. It's an association of African Americans who own wines or wineries. It helps with networking and distribution. If someone wants to own a winery, what are the steps to have a successful winery distribution? You thought I didn't do my research there.
No. I'm laughing because it's the first thing that popped into my head was you need a lot of money. So if you're going to buy a property, a winery, like let's say in Napa or Sonoma, it's extreme, or if Oregon, it's very expensive. So that
Can you give us an estimate?
I have no idea. And actually I can send you an article that talked about like the cost of it. I can't even remember, but it's a very expensive venture. So going back to what Marcy was saying, there are a lot of different ways to do it. So for example, you don't actually have to own the vineyards. You can work with an existing vineyard to create your own wine label. And you can have input on how the wine's actually made, so that the wine is made in a way that represents your style, and you put your wine label on it. So a lot of winemakers do that.
I agree with her. Owning the land in and of itself, not only can it be costly, it can be hard to come by. Right. It's not every day that you just walk upon a vineyard for sale.
Right. You're not gonna knock on doors and be like, is this vineyard available? Yeah. How much for 1 acre?
I just happen to be in the neighborhood. Right.
Can I get one plot of land?
And you can do that wine dance,
I'll save that for the next show.
Okay.
And so, so that may not happen. But the cool part about it is, like Regine mentioned, you now have a number of people who have that passion to make the wine. They may not own a vineyard. They may not even have a facility to do the production of the winery, because that's two different things. There's the vineyard and then there's the winery. But you can save money by partnering with a vineyard or a winery that can source grapes or juice, which is happening more frequently as well, and put your label on there. And you do work very closely with the winemaker. This is what I think I'm thinking about creating. And you work with them to blend that. And you have many people doing that, not just African Americans, just small boutique wineries that want to get into the business, that have that passion, and this is what they want to do.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the second part of it, besides the financial commitment, is the marketing. I mean, just imagine last time you walked into a grocery store or a wine shop, the number of bottles, right? How does the consumer decide? So the marketing is going to be very, very important. Getting your word out there, doing interviews, hiring people like me. You like how I did that?
Yeah.
But really, that's a big part of it too, because consumers, if they don't know who you are, they're not going to buy the wine.
You have P. Diddy, Puff Daddy,
Okay. Yes.
on Ciroc,
Mhm.
and you have this commercial with Lil Wayne pouring a bottle of wine on a cell phone,
Right.
and it's subliminal message.
What's the
Is-
message?
The message is it can sustain water. So what he's saying is he's pouring a bottle of champagne. So it's a double marketing.
No, we're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
wasted a good bottle of wine. What's wrong with that man?
So
That's our thing. That's not double marketing.
Oh,
That's
no?
not that he just wasted a
Well,
bottle.
I'm curious to think of, what do you think it means?
Well, I was about to ask this question. Young African Americans, including the hip hop industry, is heading towards that direction. Do you agree that the hip hop industry is moving towards wine instead of the normal just get your drink on or something like that?
Question. I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that, because I'm 44. Okay, so I'm not. I like hip hop,
Ah.
but I mean, I'm serious. I don't really know what the.
By the way, you said your age.
I'm
I
okay
would have
with it.
said you look 30 something.
Absolutely.
Oh,
No, I'm
nice,
okay with it.
nice.
I wasn't flirting. I was just saying.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I can answer some of that because statistics are out there. Clearly, you've done your homework, so you know that the statistics are sharing that there is a trend.
That's
of
going
this
on. Yes.
Younger generation that is now consuming wine. They are becoming the connoisseurs.
Is it
And-
the younger generation or the hip hop? Because that's two different.
The hip hop generation
Okay.
is marketing now
Mhm.
using wine, and I gave you an example of Lil Wayne pouring
Right.
a bottle on a cell
Right.
phone.
Okay.
You have P. Diddy, Ciroc. You have others that's considering, just like 50 Cent is considering owning a winery and doing winery.
Right.
But it's okay. And
No,
Go
I
ahead,
see what
go
he's
ahead.
saying, because not just them, and I guess some people may not know, but who is E40
Mm-hmm.
has his own wine label. He
Mhm.
actually has a wine business, and it's Earl Stevens Wines and Vineyards, and he's in Napa. He is actually in California, and it's a Moscato.
Mhm.
And so it's a little on the sweet side, but it's still a wine. And he has a huge young following.
Mhm.
And that's the hip hop people that are mostly buying his wines. Now, I know he's looking at creating a less sweet wine, I'll say. I don't know how far it's going to go.
Okay.
But he's creating that. And so you're correct. There is this generation, this in the hip hop generation, that the people involved in that industry are saying there's something to this, and we're going to see how far we can take it with our followers. And so, yes, when you look at it that way, what he was doing with the wine, where we think is a total waste of wine. He is perhaps creating this subliminal message. He might have some things behind the scene that we're not aware of. And the next thing we know is he's come out with his own label. And so it might be something like that. I don't know.
No, and I'm not arguing what either of you are saying, but when I saw that commercial, to me, it reminds me of hip hop associating with luxury. Like, I have so much money, I can pour this on my cell phone instead of pouring water. So I don't know if it's going to grow the wine market. I hope it does, because I want people to drink wine. But that example to me is about waste. It's about wasting luxurious products because I'm getting paid, versus here's an appreciation. If you want to show me that you love wine, let's pour the wine. Let's talk about it. Let's understand why this bottle costs $400. Why does other bottle cost $20? That's a movement that I'm interested in.
Okay, then let's start. You bought some wine. you bought some wine. So tell us a little bit about each wine.
Oh, wow. Well, let me open this one because I need a drink.
Go ahead.
So this is Andre Houston Mack, and his wine is Mouton Noir. That's his wine label. And today we brought Knock on Wood. It's 100% Chardonnay. I'll let you taste.
So Rhea, you want to? No? Anybody?
It is.
You want to try?
Well, let's taste it.
Do you drink wine?
No, I don't drink.
Okay. Well,
so
Marcy and I
how
will
about
partake.
how about you? You can come right here in the camera shot. Tell us what you think.
Okay.
Right
Huh?
there. And by the way, happy birthday, Regine.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks for tasting.
No. Tell us what you think. You can't just walk in and walk out. Come on. So what you think?
I think it's quite good, tasty. It's not too sweet, not too tart.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you guys want to take a swallow? Come on. A sip. So hard what?
It's called Knock on Wood.
Knock on wood.
The reason it's called Knock on Wood is because it's fermented in stainless steel. So wines, you have a couple of different ways that you can ferment your wines. You can do it in stainless steel. You can do it in oak. Since this one doesn't have any oak, that's a play on words, knock on oak. He made a Chardonnay fermented in stainless steel. So it's clean, it's fresh, it's got really great fruit, but it's not a sweet wine. It's really gorgeous.
So in case someone just want to say, you know what? I want to partake in this. I want advice. It's something, I can't afford the wines and stuff like that, but
This is $12.99.
$12.99.
Yeah, or $14.99 at Whole Foods.
And the rest?
We can go down the line if you'd like, but this is
just quickly.
$14.99. Okay, I don't know what that is.
That's the
that one you have to order online. It's about $35. What's the next one?
This is the Riesling from Esterlina, and Esterlina is in Hillsburg, California, and they are not distributed in the Chicago or Illinois area. There are a few states they're distributed in, but primarily if you want their wines, you have to go through their website or join my wine club, because I share their wines every quarter.
Nice.
Yes, through the quarterly membership, and you're going to get these mini varietals and plus. And
Theophilus Vineyard
Vineyards is
That's
next.
available online. That's their 2012 Petite Syrah.
Mhm.
So you can order it from the vineyard. Longevity, you brought that one.
I did bring that, and the Petite Syrah, even though it's not local here, she is gaining movement in stores. She's in the Washington, D.C. area as well.
Mhm.
So she is gaining as far as getting into.
Now we're running out of time.
That's what I was trying to move.
No,
through.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
that's
ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
Longevity, you have to order online, or if you're in California, they are in stores in California.
And then the Alex Cooper Project is a local winemaker, Rodney Alex, and his partner. This is available at Kimbark in Hyde Park. And then we have Brown Vineyard from Napa, Brown Estate, also available at Kimbark in Hyde Park.
So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, and let's say they want to start up a wine club in their area or wine and book club. See, that's an idea, Miss Williams. In Laterio, if somebody wants to get a hold of you to market African American owned and operated wines and say, hey, we need help, we need support, what should they do? How do they get in contact with you?
Well, you can get in contact with me through Facebook. That is one area. I do have Urban Connoisseurs Facebook page. You can email me, marcia@urbanconnoisseurs.com, MARCIA, or you can go onto my website. It's currently under construction, but you can still contact me. So www.urbanconnoisseurs.com, and that is plural, Urban Connoisseurs.
Okay.
So you can contact me at shallwewine.com. That is my email address. And Facebook is Shall We Wine. I'm Regine Rousseau. Call me.
Well, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for us on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com. Thank you to Earl Winfrey, Rhea Ray Harris, who is up next with Straight No. And don't forget, we always have this problem, so don't forget to get your children or child in a decent time before curfew. Ours is 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? We're going to start announcing this starting now. So again, 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? It's a curfew awareness month, sponsored by Cook County Commissioner Richard Boykin. Thank you so much. You guys have a safe week, and thanks for the wine. We really appreciate that.
Welcome.
Thanks. Don't Be a Stranger, and Laterio's book, Love Notes, and C. Lynn Williams. So check them out as well. Have a good week, everyone.
Thank you.